Hey, YouTube. Be with you when somebody get on this. Hey. Happy, wonderful wind down Wednesday. I'll be live all the way when I get enough people on here. Factz from ATL. Thank you for your patience. I'm having a hard time today. My carpet toner is really getting to my arm. I was getting fresh out the shower and I couldn't even get fully dressed. That's how bad my arm hurts. I'm a person who always freestyle and say things from my mind, so I'm gonna say this. Don't let no one gaslight you. Only you and God know what you're going through. I tell people I'm not gonna fall to the floor. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna scream. I'm just gonna push through whatever I'm going through. But I'm gonna go easy on myself while holding myself accountable. Remember that. I'll be back with you in a minute. I'm pushing through this pain. I'll be here in a minute though. Hey, hey, hey. For those who just coming in, happy, wonderful, wind down Wednesday. Thank you for those that stayed. Thank you for your patience. I'm waiting for a couple more people coming in. Unfortunately, I'm kind of behind schedule. I'm allowing God to order my steps, so I'm going to start with something different from what I said I was going to start with. As I'm getting all the way ready, let's talk about your parents. And I was trying to go early because I do have other people I support, and I be want to make sure I make it to their live. So when it comes to your parents, if you have the right parent, God bless you with the right parent, then never just get all the way upset and go left and go silent on your parent. Because your parent, that's your backbone. Especially us mothers. Like I said, if you have been blessed with the right one, we will never totally abandon you, even in our disagreements. So never just let it go when it comes to your parent, unless it's very necessary. You know, you do have parents that can be abusive or mistreat you. I'm gonna say it in that way. They can mistreat you. I've seen this. You know, most of the things I talk about comes from my experience, not no college degree or anything of that matter. So, yeah, if you have a issue or you and your parent have a disagreement, never just block them or stop talking to them totally. You know, sometimes we have to love people from a distance or until they can really understand, or you all can get an understanding. I would rather say it that way. Factz, I would like to say I'm a lady of many discussions. I'm gonna say it like that. Much experience. So I do not focus on no one niche. I like to walk. I like to listen to the word. I'm no longer a part of a church. And I'm just gonna cut to the chase of what I, get to the meat and potatoes about why I'm here, so I can make that next live. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna read a little something about the Word of God. Then I'm going to these two twins called Surrender and Elevate. I'm gonna call them the twins, Surrender and Elevate. In some of my live, I will show my face. Most of it'll be faceless. I don't get a whole lot of people on here, so maybe when I get a larger audience, then I'll go, with my camera on often. However, if you want to know who's speaking, all you have to do is check out my content. There you will find, what kind of vibe I bring to the platform. Okay, so I'm not going to read this entire book. I just like to start with this book because if anybody been over my content, then they know, most of this I've already said. But this is from the Discovery series. I do not own rights to this content. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It's called Reveal, How God Makes Himself Known. There's nothing quite like a big reveal. We love a good reveal. We love a good surprise. Most of the time anyway. Whether it is what's inside that beautiful wrap package or the news your friend says you'll never believe. We want to know what we don't yet. What's in the box, behind the bus, the big announcement. We simply want to know. But we can't until the wrapper is removed, the bus is moved, or our friend finally opens their mouth. The same is true with what we know about God. Unless He reveals Himself, we cannot know Him. Fortunately for us, God wants to be known. He left His footprints on His creation, like a master artist being identified by his paint strokes. But for those who might be artistically challenged, He has gone far beyond the beautiful masterpiece of creation. He has actually spoken. God has revealed Himself, His character and actions through history, and they are recorded by His own leading in the pages of the Bible. If you want to know more about that, you can check out the Our Daily Bread Ministries. And that is the Discovery series. Okay. I may read a little bit more of that at a later time. Okay. So someone was asking me earlier when I was in their live. I do focus on self-love, mental health awareness, and it's still Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Some topics I said I wasn't going to really get into. However, for correction sakes, sometimes we have to, speak on things that may be negative to us and make it into a positive. By that, I mean, there are some things our men need to know. People don't know they're wrong unless you let them know they're in the wrong, or let them know it's something that they can work on. Give me a second. Let me check out this plant on my porch right quick. Okay, my plant had a little gangster lean that I need to check on. Okay, the first thing we're going to get into is surrender. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me, please. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. I'm definitely working on my consistency. Okay, since I got people kind of in and out, I'm going to go ahead and get my items that I need real quick. Okay, I have 17 votes. Church of Walking, we got 88%. 12% said no. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to wait for anyone else to come in. I'm going to go ahead with my content because I am on a time and I didn't make it here on time. But I'm working on my consistency. And then next, I guess I will work on my time table. I will. Surrender. Can you put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me? Please put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Okay, I had to check on something real quick. Okay, surrender.
Surrender.
Surrender is the act of yielding, submitting, or relinquishing possession or control of something to another, often after a struggle. One of the words today is surrender. The other one is elevate. I'm calling them the twins.
Surrender.
Okay. Surrender is the act of yielding, submitting, or relinquishing possession or control of something to another, often after a struggle. The concept spans multiple contexts, from military capitulation and legal forfeiture to personal acceptance and psychological release. Okay. We're going to work on the surrender we're talking about right now is the personal and psychological, the spiritual. Okay, the personal and the psychological surrenders. Surrender meaning giving up the illusion of control over a situation rather than admitting defeat. It often means embracing reality and letting go of the need to resist circumstances that cannot be changed. I'm reading that again. This might not be for everybody, but this is for somebody. I'm Factz, and that's what I like to do. Find the facts before speaking on them. So, personal and psychological. Giving up the illusion of control over a situation rather than admitting defeat. It often means embracing reality and letting go of the need to resist circumstances that cannot be changed. Okay, for me, I like to recite the prayer of serenity. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's the prayer of serenity. If you can hear me, please put a 1 in the chat. If you can hear me, excuse me, my chapstick kind of sticky. Please put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. I will appreciate it. If the content is useful, please like the live, share the live. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And especially if you know younger people, like 21 older, actually 18 and up, because some of our young people don't get the content that they need. I know as a young girl, I did not. So that's why I like to define things. Someone gave me the name Factz, and it was because I do poetry, and they missaid my name, but I've been using that name ever since. And I'm going to do a poem before I leave out of here. Hello, how you doing? Thank you for the engagement. Lola Reyes. I hope I said that right. So that's why I'm defining this. And I'm calling it the two twins. I'm a twin, and I'm calling it the two twins. Surrender and elevate. And to be honest, someone told me I need to elevate. So I decided that in order to get understanding on what someone is saying to you, it's best to define it. and take a deeper dive into it. And I mean, if the shoe fit, well, I'll wear it. If it hurt, I may take it off. I may just take it in. Okay. So, yes, so prayer serenity. Okay, spiritual. To, and I'm going to turn my camera back off. To surrender spiritually means the practice of placing oneself in the care of a higher power, often described as an act of trust, faith, or devotion. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. In this context, in spiritual, it sounds a little simpler, in my opinion. To surrender spiritually means the practice of placing oneself in the care of a higher power, often described as an act of trust, faith, or devotion. Now, as I read this, I realize why some people do not want to have a higher power, don't believe in a higher power. And this just in my opinion, this is not a fact, this is an opinion. However, it can be that they have a problem trusting, devoting, and surrendering to something higher than them. You know, I really can't say I surrender all to God. You know, and for me, that's where my growth at. Thank you for the likes. I really appreciate the engagement. That's where my growth at. Okay, so we're not gonna stay on this too long. But I guess I will read the legal standpoint of it. We already know what surrendering is as a military person, what surrender means. Okay, so legally, the early relinquish of a right, claim, or property. For example, in property law, it involves a tenant returning a lease to the landlord before its official expiration. Okay, that's a legal standpoint. Like I have to surrender this house when it's time for me to go if I'm not a property owner. Easy peasy. But I'm going to read this one more time, and then I'm going to go on to its twin. I'm calling them the twins today. Surrender and elevate.
Surrender.
The act of yielding, submitting, or relinquishing possession or control of something to another, often after a struggle. Now I'm saying this real quick. Sometimes people do have a problem with surrendering, and by that I mean they're used to being in control of things, you know. And it just takes a person to be humble. You know, that does not mean you have to be a welcome mat. Like I was talking about yesterday, you do not have to allow anybody to walk over you. But just taking a step back sometime. Because some people really get control, aggression, and being authoritative, I would say, and I'm look up that word too, maybe tomorrow. Authoritative, they get that mistaken. Sometimes you're used to being an authority, and people mistake that for wanting to be in control. And that's just how some people think. But let me write that down right quick. Authority. Authority. Or authoritative. Authority and aggression can be misleading. So if you don't surrender to anyone this week, if you're a believer, surrender to God. And I promise you, it will enlighten your mind. He's directing me right now. The only way for God to direct me is for me to surrender and let him know. Well, not let him know, to receive, because he know I have to receive that I can't do this all by myself. So in order for me to do that, I have to surrender to Jesus. I have to surrender to a higher being, a higher power. You know? Okay, so we're gonna move on to the twin, which is elevate. But I'm going to say that one more time. The only way that God can be directing me as he does and is doing right now is for me to surrender. You know, it doesn't mean that I'm not in control of me totally. However, I know God has total control. And if I allow, Satan can have control over me. But we have to allow it. We have to receive it. And in order to surrender, you must receive. I received Jesus Christ, which means I surrendered. You see how that go? Receive Jesus Christ by surrendering. Surrender and receive Jesus Christ, or whomever your higher power is. Okay, so now we're going to go to, I guess, my favorite. Elevate.
Elevate.
Okay. Elevate. Elevate means to lift, raise, or move something to a higher position or level. Okay, we know that's the regular elevate. So you have to read that one first, right? Improving the moral, intellectual, or general quality of a thing. Quality and mindset. Improving the moral, intellectual, or general quality of a thing. Okay. Now I'm going to Google. That was
Elevate.
okay. Now I'm going to go to what it means to elevate. What does it mean to elevate? Please excuse my background. He's so loud. I'm going to do that one again. What does it mean to elevate? Now, actually, I think I may have already. Let me look at my photos, because it's not giving me what I was looking for. But I believe I already had this answer earlier. So for those who do not know why I'm looking for that, what we're doing this week, we're taking a deep dive into defining definitions. We're taking a deep dive into defining definitions and or meanings. Okay, this happens sometimes. When you're looking for something, you can't find it. When you're not looking, then you can find it all too well or all so well. So I'm going to mute this for a minute. Okay, that took long enough. My apologies, and I'm going to share this on my platform. My apologies. I will be sharing this on my platform. So I did find it because I like to be correct. Elevate or elevation. Elevation in life refers to the upward progression, growth, or advancement of an individual's mindset, circumstances, and purpose. It is the conscious process of rising above past limitations, upgrading personal standards, and moving toward a more fulfilling, meaningful life. Let me read that to you again, because there is a breakdown. And I personally think when someone said that I need to elevate, it's not that I don't receive criticism. It's that if someone says something to me, I prefer them to know exactly what they're saying to me, or know what they're praying for. Okay? So I'm gonna read that again. And I'm gonna turn off my camera this time. Elevation in life refers to the upward progression, growth, or advancement of an individual's mindset, circumstances, and purpose. Third time, elevation in life refers to the upward progression, growth, or advancement of an individual's mindset, circumstances, and purpose. It is the conscious process of rising above past limitations, upgrading personal standards, and moving toward a more fulfilling, meaningful life. The concept of life elevation encompasses several key dimensions: personal and mental growth, spiritual awakening, life transitions and careers, moral emotion. I'm going to say that one again. The concept of life elevation encompasses several key dimensions: personal and mental growth, spiritual awakening, life transitions and careers, moral emotion. Okay, so when it was brought to my attention that someone felt like I should elevate, maybe this one right here that I'm about to break down is what they was referencing. And I'll elaborate a little bit on it after I read this. Life transitions and careers. Reaching new heights in professional success, wealth, or social impact. Life transitions and careers. Reaching new heights in professional success, wealth, or social impact. Okay? Another concept is personal and mental growth. Elevating your mindset through conscious learning, emotional maturity, and shedding negative habits. Personal and mental growth. Elevating your mindset through continuous learning, emotional maturity, and shedding negative habits. Spiritual awakening. A deepening of one's faith, inner peace, and connection to a higher purpose or community. Moral emotion. In psychology, elevation is a specific, warm, uplifting. I'm sorry, I'm kind of distracted. Let me do that one again. Moral emotion. In psychology, elevation is a specific, warm, uplifting feeling experienced when witnessing acts of deep human godness, which motivates individuals to be more altruistic and compassionate. The principle of elevation requires separation. Key areas to elevate. If you're striving for elevation, it is typically pursued across 4 foundational pillars of life: health, relationships, careers, finances, and purpose. Now, I won't break those down. What I will do is put them on my platform. Okay. Thank God I finally found that. Shout out to all those that joined me today. May everyone have a happy, wonderful wind down Wednesday. I will see you later on today. Factz.